Welcome back. In this video, let's get introduced to one of the most important concepts in Angular, which is called components. Let's consider that we would want to develop a page like this. We have a menu at the top and we have a list of to-dos which are shown and we have a footer. In Angular, the way we would develop this is as a set of components. So the entire page would be divided into a number of components. So we would have a menu component, we would have a list to dos component, we would have a footer component. Each of these components are responsible for displaying the view, that's basically the HTML, the styling, that's basically the CSS, as well as the code to react to the user actions. So when user clicks update, when user clicks delete, when user clicks add to do, what needs to be done, all that is handled by the view logic which is present in that specific component. This menu component is responsible for showing the list of menu items, which is highlighted, which is not highlighting, the styling for that, and handling the click of the events, if home is clicked, if to-dos is clicked, or logout is clicked. Whenever we build Angular applications, we first start thinking about what should be the components which should be created. Typically, a component is associated with the template, which is basically the HTML, how should it be shown, the styling, which is basically the CSS, how should the elements be styled, and the code, how should you really respond to user actions. This is written in TypeScript. When we look at most components in Angular, you'd see that the template file is having an extension of .component.html. The style file has a component.css extension, and the code file has a component.ts extension. TS stands for TypeScript. When you look at our workspace, there is one component which is already present in here. It's called the app component, and you'd see that the extensions exactly match to what we have seen earlier. So we have a HTML template, the component.html. That's basically the app.component.html. We have the styling in app.component.css. This file is empty for now, and we have the code which is present in app.component.ts. In Angular, you would indicate that something is a component by using something called a decorator. The decorator is very similar to annotations in Java. We use a decorator at component to indicate that the app component is a component, and we have a few attributes which are specified as part of the component decorator. The first one is the selector. Selector is basically the tag name for this component. So if I want to make use of this component, what tag name should I use? That's the selector. So if you look at index.html, which is where this particular component is used, it says app root. The next thing which is present in here is something called app.component.html, which is the template URL. So what we are saying is, where is the location of the HTML template for this specific component? We said it's in the app.component.html. The other thing which we specify in here is where is the styling for that specific component. So the app.component.css is where typically the styling which is specific to this specific component is present. You can see that as part of our component code, we have some data. We have member variables which are present in here. This member variable is actually mapped to this value in here. What we are using in here is something called interpolation. So what it does is it takes the value which is present in here and puts it in here. So let's say I would want to create another one. So let's say I'm saying message is equal to welcome to in 28 minutes. What I can do in here is I can use interpolation, and I can put within flower brackets or braces, I can put in the message. You would see when you look at the page, you would see welcome to in 28 minutes also as part of your H1. Whatever we're doing in here is called binding. We are taking some data from the component and showing it in the view. In this quick step, we looked at components. We said all Angular applications are built up of a number of components. Each component has the HTML or the template, the styling or the CSS, and code to handle the view actions. This code is written in TypeScript. We discussed the fact that add component decorator is what makes this app component a component. We looked at the attributes which are part of the add component decorator, the template URL and the style URL, as well as the tag which is used to represent this element. And we looked at the fact that whatever data is present as part of the component, we can use it in the template by using interpolation. I'll leave you with an exercise. What I would recommend you to do is create a few more data elements as part of this and make sure that you use them in your app.component.html. Play around with it and I'll see you in